Have you ever wondered why money problems feel like so much more than just an inconvenience? Why they cause this deep, almost physical kind of hurt? Well, today, we're going to dive into some really groundbreaking science that explains that exact feeling. We're going to see the proof that this is way more than just something in your head. So let's get into it.
It's a question so many of us have felt, right? Deep in our gut. That knot in your stomach, that tension in your shoulders. When you're staring at a bill you're not sure you can pay. It's a totally universal kind of stress, but the reason it's so incredibly powerful goes way, way deeper than just your bank account.
And we really need to get this right, because honestly, the stakes could not be higher. This isn't just about feeling stressed out. For some, it's literally a matter of life and death. Projections like this one, just for Texas, show this devastatingly direct link between economic hardship and suicide rates. So yeah, understanding this pain is absolutely critical.
All right, so first up, let's just unpack how widespread this whole issue really is. Let's try to understand its true cost, not just in dollars and cents, but in our actual well-being as human beings.
The very first step is to kind of reframe how we think about all this. This isn't about someone failing or not planning well enough. The data is pretty clear. Financial distress is a huge society-wide problem with serious, measurable health impacts. You could argue it's a public health crisis, just like any other.
Now, what's really fascinating about this slide is just how clearly it connects the dots. A big national study of college students found that as financial distress goes up, boom, so do the symptoms of anxiety, depression, and even thoughts of suicide. And just look at that p-value, less than 0.001. I mean, in the world of statistics, that's a rock-solid, undeniable link.
And to put that into perspective, anxiety disorders already affect about 12% of all college students. So when you pile major financial stress on top of that, you're basically just pouring gasoline on a fire that's already burning.
Okay, so we know money problems cause real psychological pain. But why? Why does it feel the way it does? This, my friends, is where things get really interesting. Because we're about to connect the world of finance to something deeply, deeply human, the fear of social rejection.
We use the same words for these things. We say rejection hurts. We talk about the pain of a breakup. But is that just language, a figure of speech? Or is it possible our brains are actually processing financial failure and social rejection in a very, very similar way?
And check this out. This quote from a huge study basically sets the stage for everything. It's suggesting that the connection isn't a metaphor at all. The really key phrase here is common somatosensory representation. In plain English, that means social pain and physical pain might be running on the exact same hardware in your brain.
So how in the world does this actually work? Well, to find out, we have to go look directly inside the brain. And this is where the evidence gets, well, it's just stunning.
And this right here, this is the big aha moment. What researchers did was they took people who had just gone through a really painful breakup and put them in a brain scanner. First, they'd show them a picture of their ex. Then, a little later, they'd give them a sensation on their arm that felt like a hot burn. And the result? The exact same parts of the brain lit up for both. Wild, right?
So the key players here are these two physical feeling centers. Their whole job is to process the raw physical sensation of pain. They're the parts of the brain that answer the questions, where does it hurt and how bad is it? They're for cuts, burns, broken bones, that kind of thing. And this is the big reveal. We've known for a while that social rejection and physical pain both turn on the emotional pain centers. But what this study proved is that intense social rejection, the kind you might feel from a major financial failure, also turns on the sensory pain regions. Your brain is processing the pain of being cast out like it's a literal physical injury. So if financial failure can actually feel like being physically hurt, it is no surprise at all that it triggers one of our most powerful and isolating emotions, that deep, painful feeling of shame. And as the amazing researcher Brené Brown says, shame is the thing that makes us pull away. It makes us disengage. It's that voice that convinces us we're all alone in this, that our problems are our fault and our fault alone. And with money, that shame is often the very thing that stops people from getting the help they desperately need. But here's the good news. We can build resilience against it. Experts have laid out 4 clear skills. First, just recognizing your triggers. Then, getting some perspective, realizing you're not the only one going through this. Then comes the really crucial step, reaching out. And finally, giving voice to that shame. You talk about it, and that's how it starts to lose its power over you. So if we know what's causing the pain,
and we know how to start fighting the shame, what's the path forward? Let's talk about the actual concrete steps we can take toward financial wellness.
I think the key here is to see financial wellness as a critical part of your overall health, just like eating well or getting exercise. It's not some kind of luxury, it's a fundamental form of self-care. And the really good news is there are proven ways to get there.
So, what does that toolkit for hope actually look like? Well, it's real, tangible stuff. Things like free, professional financial counseling, support to help people stay in their homes, help with taxes, programs to find better work, and peer groups where you can talk to people who actually get it. These programs are out there, and they exist to help people get back on their feet.
And this really is what it's all about. Hope isn't just a passive feeling, right? It's something you build through action and through support. Just understanding that the pain you feel is real, like biologically real, and that shame is a common enemy, that's what empowers us to go out and find the tools we need to rebuild.
So I'll just leave you with this one question. Knowing what we now know, that financial distress registers as physical pain in our brains and has these massive consequences for society, what do you think would change if we started treating financial health with the same urgency and resources that we give to public health?